Is joining us. Good to see you, Margaret. We have a lot to talk about, and just within the last couple of hours, our Republican governor has signed a piece of gun control legislation that was passed by our Republican-controlled House and Senate in Tallahassee. Is Florida showing the way for President Trump and lawmakers in Washington to reach some kind of bipartisan deal on guns?
Well, Florida is certainly acting a lot faster than they are here at the federal level. What we are hearing is some talk on Capitol Hill about perhaps laying out some safety measures for schools or attaching further background checks, tightening to an upcoming bill within the next 2 weeks. But we have no pledge, no absolute certainty that that will happen. And right now, the conversation has really been upended here in Washington. It was shifted from guns to trade last week with the president's pledge to roll out these tariffs on steel and aluminum. And just overnight, we now have this news of the president agreeing to meet with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. So that has certainly changed attention around here. There's a little bit of whiplash in Washington.
Yeah, well, last night we heard that President Trump had accepted an invitation to meet with North Korea's dictator, Kim Jong-un. But today, the White House listed a whole bunch of conditions that must be met before a meeting takes place. So what is really going on here?
Well, that's what we're going to try to nail down when we speak to CIA Director Mike Pompeo on Face the Nation this Sunday and get a sense from him exactly why President Trump was so quick to accept this offer after hearing about it just yesterday from our ally, South Korea. Right now, the White House is trying to, in some ways, backpedal a little bit, saying, well, we're open to having this meeting, but we haven't nailed down that May date yet that the South Koreans said is already on the calendar. You're also now hearing the White House say, well, we do have conditions before we have that conversation. We want to see things happen. Yesterday, that is not what was laid out. Instead, we were told by South Korean officials that President Trump agreed yesterday to hold this meeting with Kim Jong-un based on a promise from him, from that rogue leader, to stop testing his nuclear and missile program. But so far, he has not taken steps to actually dismantle it, which is something that now you're hearing the White House say they might want to see a bit more of before they put the two leaders in the same room.
Finally, Margaret, then there's the story of the secret payment to the porn star to keep an alleged affair quiet right before the election. And in any other administration, this might have been the first topic that we talked to you about. But what is the buzz in Washington about all this and what it means for President Trump?
Well, from nukes to porn stars, that is an interesting transition. But you're right. That's the week in Washington. That's among the headlines here. This Stormy Daniels, that's the porn star you're referring to, story is coming out in dribs and drabs. The White House clearly would like to be talking about policy matters, including North Korea, rather than these sordid details that are spilling out because of this decision that she is no longer being bound by a previous non-disclosure agreement that, according to Ms. Daniels, she had signed onto with the president's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. But at the White House level, they're really trying to stop talking about this and sending all the conversation back to the president's personal lawyers.
Margaret, thank you so much.
Thanks, Margaret. And you can watch Margaret on Face the Nation, and she'll have an interview, as she mentioned, with the director of the CIA, Mike Pompeo. News on North Korea. That's Sunday morning at 10:30.
And then stick around for Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede. Jim has more of his interview with Democratic congressional candidate Donna Shalala Sunday at 11:30, only right here on CBS 4.
Still to come at 5:30, a major casting